Dan Delmar and Supriya Dwivedi. And Supriya, over the weekend in Toronto, which is now the place where you spend most of your time, a bunch of Montreal Expos fans were, I guess, gathered in left field, part of ExposNation, to sort of voice their concern and voice their desire to have the Expos back in Montreal. One person who is part of ExposNation is Dave Kaufman. He's a host on TSN 690, our new sister station here. Dave, how's it going?
Hey, Dan. Hi, Supriya.
Hi. So you're
How's it going, guys?
Pretty good. So you're the special events coordinator for ExposNation, but I'm a bit like, so what is ExposNation exactly? Sorry, I don't mean to, come in here out of left field, so to speak, but yeah.
I see what you did there, Supriya.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you.
ExposNation is a movement that started on Facebook, and we are now 156,000 strong. People miss baseball here. And a lot more people than I think people thought when the Expos left. I think the initial impression in this city was that people wouldn't care when the Expos left town. And here we are 9 summers later, and I think people miss them more than ever.
Wow, 156,000. That's certainly not,
There's a lot of people. Where were they in, the last years of the Expos, when I remember tuning in and seeing, a couple thousand people, well, maybe not a couple, like 5,000 people in the stands. I mean, it got bad at the end there. So where were all those 150,000 plus people when the Expos were on the brink?
Well, it could have been as low as 3,000, depending on the game you tuned into, Dan. But, Montrealers grew impatient with the way that Major League Baseball treated us and our city and our fan base. And at a certain point, when you kick your dog enough times, the dog's going to finally stop coming back. And I think that's what happened. It was many factors, including the strike and following a couple of fire sales after that. People's hearts were broken so many times that they just had to walk away. But I think people have realized that having baseball here was a very special and important thing for our city.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'm always a big fan of having as many sporting events that you can have. For no other reason, it's a great way to, get out, enjoy the day. But where would the Expos play if they came back? Is this actually a viable option for Montreal?
And looking at the ExposNation Twitter feed, I see in the background you have that mock-up of the beautiful stadium that would have been just south of the Bell Center. There are condos there now. I mean, where would you even play if we were lucky enough to have a team that would come to Montreal?
Well, we're talking many years down the road. It's not as if the Tampa Bay Rays are just going to decide to move to Montreal tomorrow. This would be something that would have to be planned out, and I know that Richard Bergeron with, I believe that's Projet Montreal, they've come up with a spot where they would like to see it somewhere around the Peel Basin. There are many, many places that baseball could be played, but the money needs to be there first. Somebody with big bucks needs to stand up and say, I want to build a stadium, because the last thing the Quebecers are going to stand for is public money going towards this.
No, absolutely, and I think that's a great point that you make. Do you think
I have a spot, by the way. I'll tell you where I think it should be. I think it should be where the Children's Hospital is right now, because that's moving to the MUHC. You take that area around the Forum, basically that really awful park that's right across the street from the Children's, that cuts off the Children's in the Montreal Forum.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you could give, there's a metro station on site. I think that would be a perfect spot for a stadium.
Yeah, that's definitely not a bad idea. You've clearly put some thought into this there, Dave.
Clearly, yeah. Well, I am the special events coordinator after all. It's a fancy title.
Now, let's get back to reality. Now, I don't mean to sound rude, Dave, but there clearly is a lack of interest with the business community here in Montreal, and sponsorships are everything.
That was the case, Dan. Sorry to cut you off. That was the case for the first 9 years, but we've seen a lot of growth in that factor. The Montreal Board of Trade took $400,000 in the spring to do a feasibility study. Montreal is the largest metropolitan area in North America without Major League Baseball. And it would be foolish for Major League Baseball to not capitalize upon that opportunity. This is a huge market. There's 4+ million people within an hour's drive of Montreal. You can up that to 6 or 7 if you make it a couple or a few hours drive.
Yeah, and I noticed also that there are a lot of politicians that were getting on this bandwagon on Saturday at the Jays game, right? I think that Prime Minister Harper tweeted that he hopes, Montreal one day gets an MLB team again. I know Justin Trudeau tweeted his support. So is that something that you guys find promising?
Well, I mean, it's wonderful to have politicians supporting a cause. We could also draw from this that the Bloc Québécois and the NDP just don't care about baseball.
Yeah.
Which I don't think is a major surprise anyway. But, I think we'll take those things for a perspective. It's wonderful. On a personal note, it was great to see all the Expos alumni tweeting out about the event.
Mm-hmm. By the way,
I thought that was wonderful.
If anyone is listening who was at at the Rogers Centre in Toronto over the weekend as a part of ExposNation, pick up the phone, give us a call right now because I'd love to hear from you. 514-790-0991, 790-0991. So if you were there at the game, give us a call, let me know how it went. And Dave Kaufman joins us from TSN 690 and part of, I guess, the board of directors of ExposNation. What about in terms, Dave, of MLB and the leadership there? Do they have any desire to bring the Expos back into Montreal? Has there been any indication they could be at least open to the possibility?
As of right now, no. Bud Selig, the commissioner of Major League Baseball, was interviewed a few months ago by Hazel May on Rogers Sportsnet and said that they are not looking at any new opportunities right now. They want to try and make what they have work. But the truth of the matter is there's a franchise in Tampa Bay that is incredibly successful on the field and pitifully unsuccessful off of it.
What does that mean, pitifully unsuccessful off the field?
They're averaging 12,000, 13,000 fans a game, and they're one of the best teams in baseball right now. And they have been one of the best teams in baseball for a long time. They have, coincidentally to us, many of the issues that Montrealers dealt with. Who wants to go to an indoor stadium in the summertime to watch baseball?
Yeah, that's fair. Or could it just be Florida people are just terrible people?
Well, the stadium's not in Sanford, Supriya.
Yeah, okay. But Dave, what do you say if, let's say, Montreal did get a team? Okay, what do you say to people in Quebec City who rightfully have been clamoring for the Nordiques to come back?
I don't think that one has much to do with the other, and I think that Quebec City has done everything it can to try and get hockey back. They're building a stadium. They have they have big corporate support, which is what Montreal needs right now. The Nordiques Quebec City lost the Nordiques in 1995. Montreal lost the Expos in 2004. I feel equally bad for the Nordiques fans. And you know what? My heart goes out to the Atlanta Thrashers fans, all 6 of them, who lost the Thrashers and had them move to Winnipeg. It's a hard feeling to lose a team that you love.
What about...
And we spent a long time being made fun of in this city because there weren't a lot of fans there. Things like Andre Dawson being inducted into the Hall of Fame changed that. Things like Anakin Slade's song "Remember the Expos," which is now at 170-something thousand views on YouTube. When Gary Carter passed away, that reminded a lot of Expos fans just how important the Expos were to this city. Gary Carter had more of an effect on this town than, well, really any athlete that this city's ever had that didn't lace on skates.
So let's take your word for it. And I'm not sure I'm totally convinced, Dave Kaufman, but let's say there is fan support. Let's say there is business support. Do you want government support? Do you think that government should invest in somehow bringing the Expos back?
I don't think that's feasible. I don't think that's the one trap that most cities in Major League Baseball fall into. And we just saw it with the Florida Marlins, who are owned by a name I don't know if I'm allowed to say on radio in Montreal.
No, we don't talk about him. No.
But they built taxpayers in Miami to the tune of about $1 billion to get this new stadium built, and then sold off all of their assets. And they have a terrible team with no payroll and a brand new stadium that nobody goes to. And the people of Miami are paying for that stadium. I don't think Montrealers are. We see with the Charbonneau Commission right now, we see all the corruption in this city, and I don't think that Montrealers are going to buy into somebody saying that this is a good financial decision, because it's not. This has to be somebody, a Mark Cuban type, a Guy Laliberté type, somebody with a lot of money and a love of baseball.
An eccentric billionaire. Yeah, an eccentric billionaire with a love for baseball, essentially.
Correct. So if anybody's listening, get in touch with ExposNation. We'd love to hear from you. And right now we're working on events for the fall, and we are looking for sponsorship to help try and bring in some players and throw some big events. And we're going to be starting a season ticket drive to see where that commitment is. Let's have people put their names down and say, yes, this is something that I want to be a part of. And that will show the business community as well that there is an interest in this city.
All right. Well,
gotta dream big, guys. You gotta dream big.
Listen, I wish you the best of luck. I would personally love to see them back. I'm just having trouble visualizing it. I'm not sure if there's a lot of interest there. But listen, Dave, to you and ExposNation, best of luck. And I would love for us to have a conversation in 6 months, a year from now, and find out that there's progress or that somehow the ball is rolling. So best of luck to you, and hopefully we'll see baseball in Montreal again.
Well, you should see how much progress has been made in the last year and a half. It's been incredible, and there's no reason why we can't sit here with bright eyes and say that we'll be sitting and having this conversation within a decade on opening day somewhere in Montreal watching baseball.
Dave Kaufman of ExposNation and TSN 690, our new sister station. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Dave.